Hey, it's Thursday. It's Rumor Innuendo. I'm Dominic D'Angelo. It's ad-free shows, and I am here with Rumor and Innuendo. Did I say Rumor and Innuendo? I can't even remember.
You said Rumor and Innuendo a couple times.
Did I? It's Rumor and Innuendo, guys, if you didn't know. And I'm here with Robert Karpelis, WE Creative _ish. Robert, what a Thursday. I have blood. I have guts. Do you have that too?
I'm confused as to why you're dressed like the Todd from Scrubs.
Oh, I am the Todd, aren't I?
You do. You've got the bandana on. You've got the yoked up shirt situation here. Are those your initials on the bandana?
They are, but it's for Daredevil. It's not for me, guys. I love Daredevil. I can't point right.
Well, either way, I'm glad you got dressed in your finest attire here. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rumor and Innuendo, which is still the name of the show. We'll say hi to a couple folks here. You'll have to click it because I still don't have click capabilities.
Yeah.
So Joseph Wade Walters says, "Morning, rumor heads."
I like it.
I don't mind that.
I don't mind that.
That's not bad. Alt Jake, good morning, everyone. Hopefully, Robert and Dom are more excited than Kamille looked last night on the Dynamite. Yeah, and Johnny Disco with a woo. Let's go.
Hey, let's go. Why not? It was blood and guts last night, Wednesday. Dynamite. The Dynamite happened, and it was a show, that's for sure. But MJF kicked everything off with a promo.
Oh, we're already in. We're going. All right, cool.
We're just going, man. Yeah,
love it. Let's make. I didn't even have my notes up. But anyway, hi, welcome to the show.
Hey.
I'm here. So Dynamite opened.
Yes.
With this weird thing where they were like Will Ospreay and Alex Marvez, where someone punctured Ospreay's tire, and I guess they weren't at the arena. They had to go drive to. I don't know what was going on. I was a little confused, but it was like, I guess Ospreay maybe was at the hotel, whatever it was, and someone had punctured his tire so he couldn't get to the arena. So he steals Alex Marvez's car, and Marvez, the king of making the most of his minutes, because as we all know, he was responsible for my favorite audio quote of 2024. You guys, Mercedes is hurt. His fake yell of fear when they peeled off. Yeah. So good. Alex Marvez, the gift that keeps on giving. And MJF, the gift that keeps on giving. This was an old school MJF promo in more ways than one. Was this old school Mr. D'Angelo? He mocked the crowd. He mocked Ospreay and then made fun of Ospreay's dead grandma.
Oh my God.
That is some heat, brother.
That's some real heat, dude. Let me tell you. But yes, this was very old school MJF. What we like to see from him, I think, introduced a new title through the AEW International title into the trash and introduced the AEW American Championship, which I got to say, it's pretty good. You kind of, if you're replacing the belt, it's almost like a babyface move on MJF's part, replacing that title.
A lot of what he said was definitely a babyface promo. The idea that, hey, I beat you last week, and this is the greatest country on earth, so I'm going to create the American title. And then he unveiled the title, and it looked great.
Right?
Like, it was a well put together looking belt. It looked like something Cody Rhodes would have held at some point in time. And the international title, if we're being honest, nobody cares about.
No.
It wasn't like this prestigious historical championship in AEW that had a lot of meaning and significance. It was a prop that got replaced with another prop.
Mm-hmm.
And don't give me the whole all championships, all titles, all belts, your props. This one in particular, if you could tell me the difference in the international title and the continental title, I would be baffled. It does make me think back years ago when I was at another wrestling company and working with MJF, and I was like, we need a secondary title, and I wanted to make him the inaugural Metropolitan Champion. because he is sort of very like he's the big city guy. And I was told people aren't going to know what metropolitan means, but fear not, because we have a continental champion, an international champion, and now an American champion. And more importantly, Dom, we have a new match at All In.
We do. It is going to be.
One, I'm excited to see MJF versus Danny Garcia.
First ever.
And I'm excited to see the number one contender, Pac, challenge for the international title.
He deserves it.
Oh, wait. No. We're doing MJF Ospreay again. But this time for money.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that, though, to be honest. I'm really not.
Yeah. So we got where we needed to get, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is one of those things where this may have been the plan all along. We don't know what's going on in the brain of Tony Khan, because our nasal cavities cannot handle that many narcotics. But hypothetically, theoretically, maybe. I'm not saying he does. That's crazy talk. But it stands to reason that somebody may come across that interpretation. That being said, don't ask him that on the press conference today. If your plan all along was to get to MJF and Ospreay, why did we take this weird circuitous route to get there? If the idea was we called an audible and realized, holy hell, last week that match was incredible, we got to do that again in front of 70,000 people, 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium, cool. But you set up this Danny Garcia storyline with the idea that you already announced Danny Garcia versus MJF at All In. And then you did that 4-way glory hole match that Pac won, where he became the number one contender for the international title. And at one point, even the announcers acknowledged, Pac is the number one contender for this title.
Very strange. It does seem like it maybe they called an audible, because how are you, like, if you're having a game plan, okay, we want Pac versus Will Ospreay, or whoever is the champion, and then we have Danny Garcia versus MJF, and you go into this, you're adding other chaotic elements to it that isn't like an intriguing storyline. Like, what's going to happen with Pac now that Will Ospreay's challenging for the title instead of him? Oh, where's Danny Garcia fit into all this? It's not that really engaging. Whereas just the match itself between Ospreay and MJF, I think, is engaging enough. I just feel bad for those guys who seem to maybe like, we don't need you at this moment, but thanks. It almost kind of feels like, yes, you could have the out here that, hey, Pac is the number one contender for the international title. This is now the American Championship. So,
you just tried to lawyer the lawyer. I like that.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a weird way to get to it. The match itself, when we do get to it, is probably going to deliver and possibly over deliver, because now you have that story of Max pointing out, well, you didn't hit the Tiger Driver, and Ospreay saying like, well, brother, you won me one because you hit me with your ring or whatever. You don't need that much pretense to get these guys in there. It's a huge match. It'll be fine. And you'll get Ospreay winning a title in front of his home crowd, even if it's not the title. And I think part of the problem you may run into is this match may eclipse everything else on the card as the most anticipated match on the show.
Yes. I mean, the name cachet that Bryan Danielson has is something, so we'll have to see. But we'll touch upon that here in a second. But would you think, Robert, are they going to stick with the American Championship now, or are they going to go back to the international title?
Well, when you have two belts, this usually ends in a ladder match.
Mm-hmm. Well, good point.
Also, AEW kind of has a habit of there being way too many titles. And they also have a guy who created a title in Taz with the FTW title. And now it's just a title that's defended on TV. So I don't know. But I'm also pretty sure at some point on this fever dream of a 2-hour episode of television that they were talking about an eliminator match for a CMLL title.
Yes, they did. Yeah. We. I don't know.
So
Should we go chronologically, Robert?
no, it's fine. You're doing fine, Tom. Here's the nice thing about the chronological element of Dynamite this week. We know 1 hour of this show is taken up by a single match. Second
Yeah.
week in a row they've done that, which is fine. The next thing, quite frankly, is the Chris Jericho match versus Suzuki. And Dom, I've sometimes been accused of being critical of Chris Jericho matches. I want to know your take on this match before I say anything. Passing the heat, brother.
Not really intriguing. I think it's I said in the group text it's like two dads chopping each other at a cookout, and that's basically what we got, like for like 15 minutes at least. They literally did that. And we could see Chris Jericho's chest bloodied. Didn't need to see that. I like Suzuki. I also like Jericho, but it's just no, I don't need to see this stuff. This is what is the stakes here? This is like Suzuki's calling card, and it's just it doesn't it's not a match. It's not it's
First of all, Dom, the stakes were competing for the coveted FTW title, recognized by 0 federations and promotions. When Jericho was like bleeding like that, it looked like he was lactating blood, which was quite the vision. But yeah, this was chops make loud noises. Crowds respond to chops.
Yep.
That's what we got. And if this was your cup of tea, cool. I don't know that it necessarily made me particularly excited to see what happens next after the match. Your favorite, Brian Keith, and Big Bill ran out to attack Suzuki, and Shibata made the save. And this is the crowd responded beautifully to Shibata.
Yeah.
Huge pop for him when he came out there. Excalibur found a nice way to ruin that moment by then saying, well, if you know the history between Shibata and Suzuki, you'll know what a big moment this is. Okay, I don't necessarily know the history. And if you have to tell me that, that's not a great sign.
Yeah.
Like, well, if you watch this very specific thing that happened in a completely separate promotion many years ago, then you'll know how incredible this moment is. I'm a somewhat knowledgeable wrestling fan. I think you're a somewhat knowledgeable wrestling fan. I don't know that we really knew the intricate history of these guys. It's kind of like in WWE when they brought in Raven and they brought in Tommy Dreamer, and those guys squared off against one another. Like, okay, the niche audience kind of knew, but ECW was pretty well known amongst the U.S. audience that you knew, like, hey, this is something kind of interesting. I don't know what it meant. Maybe it had significant meaning. Maybe it didn't. But, like, just keep it in the moment. In that moment, it was a cool moment. Shibata came out for the save, them clearing the ring, crowd responded to it. Hey, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. And you could later next week, if you wanted to create a little New Japan video package of Suzuki and Shibata, their rivalry and stuff like that, do it then.
But I don't care. I had the moment, and that's it. All I needed to know was one dude saved another dude, and I kind of assumed, since they both were in New Japan, that they probably crossed paths at some point in time.
Right. They probably.
And for all I know, by the way, this may not have even happened in New Japan. It may have happened in another promotion entirely. And then someone's going to be like, well, technically this happened in DDT in 2007.
Didn't know that.
Awesome. There's a Bryan Danielson sit-down interview with Renee Paquette where they just showed like a portion of it.
Yeah.
And so you didn't get the Bryan story. Instead, you got Jarrett showing up saying what we've all kind of been saying, which was, you know, hey, can you pretend that you give a damn about winning this title and maybe stop doing a single every interview where you're like, I don't need to win the title. And oh, by the way, I'm retiring soon.
Yeah.
So that definitely popped me, but it didn't really make me want to like tune in to watch All In, where you have to have Jeff Jarrett, the enemy of Rumor and Innuendo, have to remind Bryan Danielson, hey, can you pretend that you care about this this match here, bud?
Yeah, it was a very, very weird that they just like cropped this segment into like, oh, I'm having a casual conversation with Renee, and yeah, you know, maybe we'll see how it goes. And then here comes Jeff, and you know, fires Danielson up a little bit, I guess, and then you know, I guess I should kind of focus a little bit more. That's
I
what he
guess
said.
Bryan Danielson is now Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, a little
That was
bit.
my takeaway here.
Yeah.
Um,
So it
then
was cool. I love the incorporation of Jeff and all this stuff. Um, and like we got him later on in the night too. So I was all for that. Yes, I think back to what you were saying when it comes to All In and what's going to be the biggest match. I mean, I think you do it right. Swerve and Danielson can be the big match that you're going with, but yeah, they got some work to do with it. I think, Robert.
Britt Baker took on Sheeta.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of that one there, Mister D'Angelo?
I thought it was a good match. Good rivals. I kind of forgot they were rivals because it's been so for forever. But I thought it was a fun match. Good way to showcase Britt and Sheeta at the same time. And Britt gets a clean win. Then we get to the debut of Kamille. She's been gone. She's been a free agent officially since January. So this is her television return. And I thought it was the right way to do it. And I think you mentioned this is how we should kind of introduce Kamille too. I believe it was you, wasn't it? That talked about that Kamille with Mercedes.
No. So
okay.
You do too many shows. You may be confusing me with Magnum TA. The difference. Sorry. That was mean, but not really. Anyway, yeah. So you get Mercedes, who comes out there to answer the challenge that Britt laid down by saying no, and then Kamille jumps her. Kamille coming over from obviously the NWA, and we know how much we love Billy in the CW here on Rumor and Innuendo. He's almost at QT Marshall levels of embracing, but her facials could have used a little bit more work. It instead of intense, it seemed a little disinterested. That was some of the feedback I had seen before. Some folks made comments here in the comment section who are joining us live.
Yes.
At noon Eastern on a plethora of podcast platforms. That's beside the point. Yeah, no, look, I like Kamille as the heater for Monet. I like that you used Sheeta to ease Britt Baker back into TV since we hadn't seen Britt wrestle in 2024 at all. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that match. And building the anticipation for Mercedes Monet versus Britt Baker is great. This is old school. I like it. And I like the way that this is being handled. Yeah,
me too. It further adds to what a pretty darn good card All In's going to be. It's going to be one of the headline matches. And yeah, I think they're setting it up pretty darn good here.
Yeah, I think we've got. I mean, the matches that have already been solidified and announced. We know we're getting Swerve against Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Title, and even if they're not really hyping it, it's going to be a hell of a match. There's a compelling story of this is Danielson's last run before he's no longer a full-time competitor. He wants to win the AEW World Title. He wants to main event this show and make it a big show. That's great. MJF Ospreay, we know how amazing that match is going to be. The Toni Storm versus Mariah May match has been very compelling from a storyline perspective. In ring, they're going to over-deliver. Mercedes and Britt Baker was kind of one of those dream matches when Mercedes said she was going over there. And it is a homegrown AEW star versus one of the biggest talents in the world. I would imagine we're going to probably get the Acclaimed and Bucks at the pay-per-view. That seems to be where they're going with it. Mm-hmm. And we know for the main event, we're going to get Jack Perry versus Darby.
Big time. Yes.
So two of the pillars.
Pillars.
Big on them pillars. But more importantly, to hell with All In. You don't need, you can save your money, guys. You can save your 50, 60, 70 bucks. You can not buy your ticket because on free television last night, in front of the world, they gave you one hell of a match, which was Pac versus Boulder.
My goodness.
Look, guys, rarely does hyperbole belong on this show. But when you saw one of the former Bear Country guys, Boulder, in there with Pac, you just thought, look, Ospreay and MJF was something. But man, This
Or
match
it
is
looked
going
like
to
he was
deliver.
going to attend a Jelly Roll concert. That's what he looked like dressed.
You leave Conrad alone. We love Conrad Thompson. He's I think he's in charge of this show. We're technically on the Ad Free Shows Network. We're here. Someone
We're here.
yelled to me last week saying I take Robert off because of the Hogan stuff. So love it. But yeah, so you can save your money for All In. And you know what you can use that money for, Mr. D'Angelo?
I'm trying to think, what could I use that for, Robert?
Well, this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew.
Oh.
If you want to be as hard as the summer day is long, then get yourself a Blue Chew and bring the summer heat. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Emma, you've got your blood flowing and you want to stick it to her guts. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that, but here we are. Discover your options at BlueChew.com, and we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RUMOR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo.
Thank you, Blue Chew. Jake, we can't put your comment up there, but holy smokes.
Yeah, that's
something.
yes.
Something. Something else that was something was Blood and Guts. Yeah. I thought there was something else I wanted to cover before I went to that. So smooth transition, Dom. But either way.
I'm glad you're acknowledging this now. That's how we know we've come full circle here.
Huh.
You're tapping very loudly. On an audio format. It's the cap of the stupid Prime bottle is becoming like the Chris Jericho the Jeff Jarrett of the liquid world. It's like it's the enemy of our show, just like he is. But in the main event, Team AEW beat Team Elite.
Yes.
In Blood and Guts. It's damning it with faint praise to say this was the best Blood and Guts because there wasn't any goofily bad moment.
No.
Overall, it was paced well. It was really well laid out. I think you made the point about Swerve Strickland, so I'll let you take that.
Yeah. So Swerve came out and, like the heels do, Hangman Page came and attacked him from behind, handcuffed him to the cage outside of it, and started attacking him. The Bucks got mad at Hangman, told him to get in the ring or they'd fire him and stuff like that. So he gets in there. He's a bit of a hothead, loose cannon, if you will. Thankfully, Jeff Jarrett and Billy Gunn come out and help out Swerve get into the match. And man, what a great sequence they had with Swerve, just taking out everybody except Hangman. And I thought it was a really, really good presentation of him, made him look like $1 million when it comes to, hey, this is your world champion. He can handle these guys. And then on top of it, they all try ganging up on him with staple guns, and they do. And it's just really handled it really well with Swerve when it comes to that. He was one of my favorite aspects of this match in general. So I also like Jay Briscoe. I think he added a whole lot of great elements to it.
Mark Briscoe.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mark Briscoe.
Jay Briscoe was watching from above and supporting his brother, Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe is a breath of fresh air in this match. He's got that like wild man aesthetic, a little bit of Foley to him. He's an absolute blast. The coffin drop that Darby did from the top of the cage was truly memorable.
Yes.
The chair shot spot with Jack Perry chained up became even more controversial because of the tweet that Corey Graves put out and then deleted. Kind of condemning headshots. Mm-hmm. You know, I think Corey Graves is very sensitive to the fact that his career was obviously cut short in the ring. And you don't want to see somebody do something overly dangerous that may curtail their career. And then the finish was the finish.
The finish, yeah.
The please don't light him on fire finish. You know, it's like Jack Perry saying, like, no, to hell with it, light me on fire, light me on fire. And then you had Matt Jackson be like, no, don't light him on fire. We'll give you your match. We surrender. It's kind of the anticlimactic nature that you saw sometimes in war games. It's kind of like, well, we'll put J.J. Dillon in there because he's the guy that we know they could make submit.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it you needed a creative ending. It was a creative ending. That Darby is so crazy that he's going to light a dude on fire. But I don't know. It didn't spark anything for me. No pun intended.
Let me ask you this: Was it how it was paced out? Because I think that it was such a slow occurrence. Like it almost seemed like Darby was trying to find something under the ring that he couldn't find, and then on top of it, he comes back out, and it's like the execution of it all was kind of bad. But I like it almost from a storyline standpoint, where okay, that's a good out, that's a decent out. Was it more so? Was it both of that for you, or was it mostly how this hey, light you on fire? It's kind of a cheap out.
I mean, it's in these sorts of matches, you have to push them to the degree where somebody's going to have to, like an I quit match, like they're going to have to say I quit because, oh my God, you're like AJ and Cody. We saw that when he had the stairs up and he was going to impale AJ with him. And he's like, you know what? I got to live to see another day. When you've seen Darby use a flamethrower previously, and then here he was using that little like Bic lighter that you use to like light your grill.
I got one of those outside.
It's not you should not be allowed near an open flame. That it doesn't make for the same striking visual. I thought he was looking for the flamethrower, quite frankly.
Me too.
But then it's like, well, you really don't want to put that in an enclosed space. Probably not the smartest idea. It's fine. It gets you your match, and Jack Perry gets to save face by saying, well, I didn't quit. I didn't submit, but here we are. Mm-hmm. That was Dynamite. And you know what? Overall, it was a quality show. It almost everything made sense. It worked to build to your next your next broadcast. They weren't relying entirely on outside forces to carry the broadcast. So I think overall it was successful, and we'll see what happens next with Danielson and everybody else. And I know that there were other news stories we wanted to get to today, but here's the deal, guys. We only got a little slice of time here. We got 30 minutes. It's in, it's out. That is not a Blue Chew reference, but I'm gonna steal the thunder of promotion.
Do it.
I know you've got your other shows. We love Rob Van Dam, RVDTV.com, and Straight Talk. Going live tonight at 9. And Straight Talk with the Boss with Greg Gagne and Magnum TA. But right before this, myself and Scott Chaplin just recorded Working Stiff. We were joined by Tommy Blaka. Tommy was the head writer of the WWF from 1999 to 2001. He took over for Vince Russo and was there for the glory years. I don't want to use the same hyperbole we would use for a Pac match, but this may have been one of the most fun 90-minute conversations I think I've ever had doing a podcast. There are some anecdotes about his time at Conan O'Brien. There are obviously some anecdotes of his time at WWE. We get into when The Rock hosted Saturday Night Live, and there is a story involving Vince McMahon and Lorne Michaels that is worth the price of admission on a free podcast. That's going to be up literally as soon as we're done recording this today. Dom is going to polish up the audio and put that up there. It is well worth your time. It's a blast. What's always well worth your time is Rumor and Innuendo every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. I know after this show today, Dom is going to be jumping to the Ring of Honor press conference. Tomorrow, I'll be off, but Dom will be here with a guest host. I'll be back on Monday, but we will still be streaming live on the WWE Creative _ish X account, the SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on Rumor and Innuendo, ad-free shows, and Working Stiff. So on behalf of the hardest working sleeveless man in wrestling podcast history, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpoulos. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Man, older